Welcome back. Today we're getting into something that honestly can make a huge difference in how you come across in meetings. It's all about sounding prepared, feeling confident.
Exactly. And it's not just about having great ideas, right? It's about making sure those ideas actually land with your audience.
We're talking about control, specifically using what you might call signposts, those little verbal cues that guide your listeners.
Yeah, think of them like invisible road signs. They help people follow along without getting lost, reducing their mental effort.
So they can focus on your message, not just trying to figure out where you're going next.
That's the goal. Even a brilliant point can just vanish if the structure isn't clear. We're talking practical phrases here.
Simple things that signal leadership, coherence, make people feel comfortable when you speak.
Because they know you're guiding the conversation. It shows you're in command of the material and the meeting itself.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We've kind of broken these signposts down into a few types. First up, map makers. Why start with a map?
Well, map makers are just crucial for establishing that control right at the beginning. Think of it like a 20-second opening statement.
20 seconds, that sounds quick.
It is. You set the scope, the timing, maybe even who's covering what. It's like setting the rules of the road for the meeting.
And doing that gives you permission later on, right? To kind of pull things back if they go off track.
Exactly. You've established the framework, so you've earned the right to say, okay, let's get back to point B. You're the navigator.
I get that for a formal meeting, but what about, say, a quick daily stand-up? Does outlining everything feel a bit much?
That's a good point. But clarity isn't the same as formality. For a quick sync, the map is maybe even more vital because time's so tight.
So what would that sound like? Less formal.
Definitely. It could be as simple as, morning everyone, quick sync today, need 5 on A, 3 on B, then we decide on C. Sound good. That's not formal, it's just efficient.
Got it. So you're heading off the potential chaos before it starts. Okay, could you give us a template, that sort of core 20-second map people can practice?
Sure. A really effective one manages time and rolls together. Try this. Thanks for joining. We've got 3 things today. A, that's about 5 minutes, I'll cover that. Then B, maybe 10 minutes. Name will take us through that. And C, another 5. We'll wrap with clear next steps. How does that sound?
Simple, anchors everything. And map makers aren't just for the agenda, right? They're good for setting the actual goal, too.
Absolutely. One of the biggest time wasters is diving into details before everyone agrees on why you're there.
Discussing solutions before defining the problem.
Exactly. So use a map maker phrase to set the goal up front, like goal today. Just confirm the scope and deadlines for the Q4 rollout.
Or maybe something like, the outcome we need today, agree on the top 2 risks and who owns them.
Right. When you define that endpoint clearly, suddenly every comment has to serve that purpose. It makes it harder for tangents to take hold.
And it shifts the whole feel, doesn't it? From just chatting to actually solving something specific. Okay, one more map maker situation. The late arrival. How do we handle that smoothly?
Ah, yes. The classic. Use a quick recap map, brings them up to speed without punishing the people who are on time.
So something like,
Just brief and clear. Hey, name, quick recap. We've covered item A. We're just starting item B now, and then we'll finish with C in the next steps. Done? Maybe 15 seconds.
okay, everyone's aligned again. So once you've delivered that first point, item A, you need to move on. That's where we need bridges, right?
Exactly. Bridges. Without them, you get that sudden, kind of awkward stop.
Yeah, and the listener is left scrambling, thinking, wait, how did we get here? We need those short, natural phrases to keep the flow going.
Bridges are all about signaling what's coming next. Preparing the listener's brain, basically, so they don't have to work so hard on the transition itself. We can group them into maybe 4 main jobs they do.
Okay, what's the first one?
The most basic is just ordering. Simple sequence. Okay, first, a quick status update. Second, we'll look at the budget. And finally, the timeline.
I often hear people pause after they say first. Like they're thinking?
That's the mistake. The pro tip is, say the bridge before the content. Signal first, then turn. Like using your indicator in a car. Pausing kills the momentum the bridge is meant to create.
Good point. Okay, what's the second function of bridges? Connecting ideas.
Right. Adding or contrasting. So if you're building on someone else's point, you'd say something like, building on what Ollie just said, or to add to that point.
And if you need to show a difference,
Then you use contrast language. By contrast, our pilot study shares something different, or, on the other hand, the data from Asia suggests it helps manage agreement and disagreement smoothly.
makes sense. What's number 3?
Showing cause and result, explaining the why behind something. Instead of just saying, we need a new date, you connect it. Because of that vendor delay we discussed, we now need a new handover date. It gives the logic.
Okay, logic. And the last one, this feels like a tricky one. Moving between the big picture and the small details.
That's refocusing or zooming.
Yeah.
And yeah, people often stumble here because they jump levels without warning. You need to signal the shift.
How would you do that?
Well, you could go broad to specific. So at a high level, we know there's demand. Now, drilling down into the details, we need 2 extra engineers. Or the other way, if you've gone too deep. Okay, let's pull back up to the main user story for a sec. The database fix is important, but it's next on our list.
So you're consciously linking back to the bigger picture, the map you set out earlier. It feels like managing, not micromanaging.
That's the idea. But now, here's a potential issue. If you use maps and bridges really well, everything is structured, everything flows.
Yeah.
But how do you make the really important stuff stand out?
Ah, right. If everything seems equally important, then nothing actually is important. This is where it gets interesting. We need spotlights, yeah.
Exactly. Spotlights. Phrases that cut through the noise and say, pay attention, this is the key thing.
So you don't need a long summary, just a sharp phrase to signal significance.
Precisely. It reduces the listener's effort again. They know this is the bit to remember. So you might use phrases like, okay, the key takeaway here is, users are leaving after that first error.
Direct. Clear. What about for decisions or trade-offs?
You could use something like, look, the bottom line is this. We can deliver by Friday, but only if we drop feature X right now. It makes the consequence unavoidable.
Yeah, it puts the choice right there and highlights the risk involved, too.
And we should normalize signposting risk clearly. Don't just say, there might be problems. Try. Okay, here's the risk we need to address. Support tickets are likely to double unless we add this checklist. Connects the risk to the action needed.
Powerful. Okay, so we've made our key points shine. Now, how do we wrap things up effectively? We need the final pillar, closers. Because a meeting without a clear ending often just leads to
Another meeting.
Right.
A strong closing needs to do 3 things quickly. First, summarize the decisions made. Okay, to wrap up, we made 2 key decisions today, flagged 1 major risk, and we have clear next steps. Just a quick recap of outcomes.
Then the actions.
Second, assign clear, specific actions. This is where so many meetings fall down vague follow-ups. You need names, tasks, deadlines, explicitly.
So not someone will look into it.
Definitely not. More like, next steps. Ahmed, you'll draft that vendor email by Tuesday. Ria, you'll review it Wednesday morning. We're confirming go live for Friday. See? Dates, owners.
Specificity creates accountability. Okay, what's the third part of a strong close?
You need that final check for alignment, a loop closing phrase. Something like, so just to confirm, we're all aligned. We're going with option B for the pilot. You're seeking confirmation, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Got it. Okay, this next bit feels crucial for confidence, maybe more than anything else. Dealing with real-time, meeting chaos, fast talkers, tangents, strong personalities. We need control signposts.
Absolutely. These are about managing the flow actively. First up, time boxing. You have to protect the schedule you laid out in your map.
How do you do that without sounding rude?
Be direct but fair. Okay, team, we have about 3 minutes left on this topic. Let's get 2 quick final comments. Then we really need to make a decision. Or maybe, for the sake of time, let's capture these technical details offline and move to the decision point.
Okay, protecting the clock. What about those tangents that are actually interesting, just not relevant now?
That's where the parking lot comes in. You acknowledge the idea's value, but defer it. Crucially, offer to come back to it.
So, something like...
That's a really interesting point, Sarah. It's a bit outside our scope for this discussion, though. Can we park it for now and maybe revisit at the end if there's time? Using park is a pretty common, understood way to do this politely.
Right, the parking lot. Okay, the really tricky one, interrupting. A lot of learners find this incredibly hard in English, maybe feeling it's impolite.
It feels difficult, yes. But sometimes keeping the meeting on track is the polite thing to do for the whole group. The key is how you interrupt. Acknowledge first, then redirect.
Give us some phrases for that. For reclaiming the floor.
You could try. Just jumping in quickly, that's useful context, thanks, to bring it back to our main goal today. Or, if time is really tight, apologies for interrupting, but can I just pause this for a second? We really need to land on a decision here before we move on.
So you frame it as serving the meeting's objective, not just grabbing the spotlight. That makes sense. And what about disagreements? How do you handle those using language?
You aim to diffuse disagreement. First, Find common ground. Okay, sounds like we're actually close here. We all agree on the final goal and the deadline, right? Where we seem to differ is just on the approach.
Ah, isolating the point of contention.
Exactly. Then you propose a structured way to resolve it. So let's spend maybe 5 minutes comparing option A versus option B, specifically looking at which one tackles that critical risk we identified. You shift from arguing positions to comparing solutions against the goal.
That's really helpful. Now, this whole system relies on starting with that map. But what if things drift so far that the original map feels useless? You mentioned a kind of steering wheel.
Yes, the mid-meeting reset. This is probably the most powerful control tool you have, especially when things feel chaotic. It pulls everything back together.
It sounds like it requires some quick thinking.
It does. You basically synthesize past, present, and future in one go. You remind everyone why you're there, where you've got to, and what needs to happen next.
Can you give us that template again? The structure for the reset?
Sure. It's roughly 3 parts: context, status, call to action. Okay, folks, quick reset here. Remember, our goal today is to choose between option A or B. We've already explored the pros of Y and the risks of Z, so the decision needed right now is A or B. My suggestion is B because, brief reason. Are we ready to make that call?
Wow, that's decisive. But because you laid out the context, it doesn't feel like you're just taking over. Okay, one final but important point. Sounding natural. We don't want people sounding like they're reading an academic paper with all these signposts.
Absolutely not. The goal is friendly guidance, not formality. You want to sound human, approachable, use short, everyday language.
So instead of reaching for fancy words like, to commence, I shall now expound upon.
Yeah, just say, okay, let's start with, or right force. First up is simple.
And at the end, avoid things like, in conclusion, it is therefore evident that.
Please do. Just say, so the bottom line is, or, okay, so basically, keep it brief, keep it focused. That simplicity is what sounds confident and clear.
Okay, great advice. So let's quickly recap the 4 main types of signposts we covered today. We had map makers to set the direction,
Then bridges to link ideas smoothly.
spotlights to make sure the key messages stand out.
And finally,
Mm-hmm.
closers to land the plane with clear actions and agreement.
Right? 4 pillars for more controlled communication. So what's the action step for our listeners this week? How can they start putting this into practice immediately?
Start small. Pick one mini routine and try it in your very next meeting, or even just an update email. The easiest one to start with is probably the 3-part update.
Okay, refresh our memory on that one.
It's just 3 quick sentences: context, change, decision risk needed.
Give us one more quick example of that.
Sure, try this. Quick update. Last week, we had those 2 software blockers. Good news, thanks to the tech team, vendor access is now fixed. So the decision we need today is stick with the Friday launch or push to Monday to allow for more testing.
Brief, clear, demands an outcome. Perfect.
And if you think about the bigger picture here, these signposts, they aren't just, nice to haves or linguistic stuff. They are fundamental navigation tools.
Tools for clarity.
Exactly. The right phrase at the right time saves confusion, saves time, and instantly shows you're in control. The ultimate goal, for people in the room to actually relax a bit when you start talking.
Not because you talk more, but because they trust you to guide them effectively.
Precisely. That feeling of reliable guidance, that's the real signal of communication leadership.
Yeah.
It's not about fancy words, it's about clear navigation.